Hey Phil, it's another Monday. It's another Monday. We were just talking like we always talk. We always chopping it up just before we press that record button. And we were talking about things that a lot of people in our community are talking about, like what's going on, this new administration, and just the uncertainties about what to expect. You and I were having that conversation as far as home ownership and things of that nature, but it's so much more that's going to be impacted, and everything is rumored, but nobody's coming out and saying factually what to expect. So how can we prepare? And this is what we were talking about. How can we even make preparations?
Hmm. Well, you can prepare for the unknown, and
Can't prepare for
basically
the unknown.
we're in the unknown because there's nothing on the campaign when it talks about, and we're talking real estate, right?
Hmm.
Proposals to help the the housing crisis in America, and for
Hmm.
those that first-time home buyers. Kamala her proposal was I believe was $20,000.
To $25,000. Yeah.
Was it 25? Right.
Yes.
And for business owners with startup, they were going to get a $50,000 grant.
Right.
That was I didn't hear any other proposition made to generate more money in the community in the community as far as lower income communities.
Right.
Because if you got money, you got money. You don't need nothing from the
Right.
government.
Right. 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 We're only
Um,
talking about, what
yeah,
affects us.
and
That's the way.
as always, it is a it is a fact that the Republican Party has always been a top down. Whatever
Right.
they
Right. Right.
do, whatever
Microeconomics tend to trickle down.
it's down. That's so that trickle down policy has always, when the tax cuts are there for the wealthy and the big corporations and stuff like that, on the presumption that they will reinvest back into the economy, but it has never been that way. Um, but we see that data is showing that the country is doing well currently.
Hmm.
Um, the housing shortage is always going to be a crisis. Um, and that was one of the main things that I was looking forward to see what can be done to help people achieve, the American dream, which is home
Hmm.
ownership. Um, but we're not see we don't know. We don't know what's going to be done. We didn't hear any proposal from the president-elect. So everything is vague. So I know a lot of people have been on the fence,
Hmm.
waiting to see what happens. There's been like interest rate cuts. Um, there's been two. Um, I was reading some data earlier today. Mortgages went up in the third quarter. There were a lot of people doing transactions. I'm just reading an article today that New York is now is in panic mode uh, when it comes to what type of cuts the new administration is going to do. The new administration is talking about trimming the budget in every single way, and especially when they're talking about civil servants, if that's the term I should use, those who work for the government, they're going to be trimming all of those organizations. So, it's going to impact uh, a group of people that always considered having a government job to be secure. So there is panic in that area as well. Um, so um, my heart goes out for them because I know in that, when someone, set their heart on a certain type of job because of its job security, and they've made or they're making their plans on purchasing a home based on, that they can pay that mortgage, because yes, those incomes are definitely the types
Locked
of
in.
income
Right.
that affords people to buy, a home. So
Mhm.
now I know those people who are in a mortgage, and those who were planning on going in a mortgage will definitely be a little bit nervous right now. So that nervousness is going all around the country, and some people really gonna wake up to a bigger surprise after all of this hype come next year, when all of the whatever the administration is planning on doing, because you can't have cuts for the wealthy and then give poor folks money. Where is that money coming from? So cuts has got to come from someplace in order to balance the gifts that are being given to other people. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how people react when
Um,
when the reality sets in as to what the administration is going to do. So I can be hopeful that he is coming in with the consideration, or to at least pay back the people who put him into office, and bless them with the opportunities that they had put him into the office for. That's what I'm hoping.
there's so many uncertainties right now, like you said. People are definitely concerned. Um, you talk about home ownership, but I think that, like you and I spoke about, it's definitely broader than that, because everyone, it's across the border in our communities, is saying, okay, what's really going to happen? What does this mean? So if I have a nest egg, like I said to you, and our community, it's not several nest eggs, you know,
Mhm.
we have one nest egg. So if we set our goals on home ownership, and that's what we've been securing our finances for, we don't know, and nobody's saying anything to help prepare us to know, you know, if we should make certain choices and certain decisions, um, if it's wise for us right now. And I think that's how come everybody's really on a pause. Everybody's sitting back, waiting to see how this would impact our community by and large,
Mhm.
because again, home ownership is the ideal goal. But if there's so many other different factors that come into play, that's going to make sustaining my newly purchased home
Mhm.
problematic, now I got to sit back and think. And not enough, my concern is not enough people are coming out and talking to the community about what does that mean for us. We hear terminology thrown around, and what does that mean? What even with you and I, we go through this all the time. What's this terminology mean? What that mean? What you trying to say? And right now, with the way that things are spinning around, it's like it's nervous. You see the vultures, swooping around, and that hack is gonna drop and chop and chop. So you don't know how. much is gonna get cut? You don't know. What's the increment? You don't really know. You don't really even know the plan. And it's interesting. It's interesting how our community paid attention to nothing during this last election that just passed, so, and nobody said anything. It was go out and vote, but we saw and we understand the reason why the numbers were the numbers, because everybody was thinking about the economy.
Mhm.
It was no human interest
Mhm.
in regard. It was totally, how can I make the best with my money, and who's gonna make this bet, who's gonna make my nest egg sustain.
Mhm. Yeah.
But now you vote for the one that's supposed to be for the economy, supposed to ensure stability to a certain regard, and stability for who?
We're gonna see how things pan out in the next. Let's see what happens in the next 6 months. That's my thing. I want to see what's going to happen in 6 months. We're talking about first 100 days.
How do
So
we
let's see
prepare
what
for the next 100? How do we prepare for that?
huh?
Stop spending. Okay. Christmas is coming up, right? We like to have this talk, so we need to stop spending, y'all. We need to stop spending. We don't know what's going on down this pipeline. We don't know if it's going to be, what they call this a tsunami, just come and just wipe us out. We don't know if it's just going to be a trickle of rain that's going to gradually pick up. We don't know how. But we do recognize that we have to stay the course, and that means we have to minimize on our spending.
Mm-hmm.
As a community, we're all looking forward to, cause the holidays. And we go into debt during the holidays, making the holidays the holidays. But after that, right after the holidays, we got a new administration coming in. And we have to think wisely, people. We really need to think about what that means for our families and what does that mean for our future.
Well, I think that there is a segment of the population that were in that state of, are we gonna get another stimulus check? There's a portion of the community they were looking, they remember that during the previous administration, there was stimulus checks, so which was due to the pandemic. And the clever strategy was that at that time he made certain that his name was written inside of that envelope as if the check came from him when
Phil,
it's
you're
actually
boiling my blood right now. Phil, you boiling my blood right now. This is the reason why we started having these conversations.
I'm
Because of
telling
the mindset, the stuck mindsets of some of our people in the communities. I don't
you.
even believe that you brought this up. All right now, you
No,
you
but I mean, it was
you're
just
forcing me to
very,
contain myself a little bit too much right now, okay? Because what you said, I don't even understand. Why would that even be a conversation? We're gonna vote this guy in because of a stimulus check that they gave and
yes,
how
yeah.
long did this last? How many of us invested that stimulus check? This was a talk that we had already. This was money that came and went. Everybody, oh, stimulus, 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 stimulus. How many in our communities have anything to show for that.
It was, you see, it was a
And
strat.
call a spade a spade. I don't care what anyone has to say. We see a lot of mismanagement, and this is the reason why we said that we'll do this. You came to me and said, Heidi, I have a lot of information and it's not fair
Mhm.
that I have all of this. I need to share this. I need to make my people aware that you got to think a little bit more in what's the investment. Yes, invest in yourself. No one's saying don't invest in yourself, but the BBLs,
We have a lot of we have a lot to do when it comes to unraveling a mindset of I have to have it and I have to have it now. I'm not going to sacrifice for it. There's no long-term planning. And everyone is, regardless of how much money they're making, there's still a paycheck or a couple of paychecks from broke, whether they're making 60,000, 80,000, 100,000, because generally, the more money people make, the more money they spend. So if they were making 80, they got a $20,000, they're going to start spending to that level. So how do we change people to start thinking long term, from spending to investing, planning for retirement? Because these times go by like this,
back
and
to
people
you.
just
They
don't
got the
see
check,
it.
as you said. They bust the envelope, go and deposit it, went straight in a store.
Hmm. And
Most
Black
had that
Friday.
money spent from the time they heard the announcement on whatever platform they heard it from. So if it
Mm,
was news, they heard this was going to be, if it was social media, if it was a friend, they
hmm.
already start making a budget.
Yeah.
And why can't we make a budget for our futuristic spending?
Mm,
You brought up something really smart. You said, it's a need. It's right now. It's like a fixation. Like this is what I gotta have right now, whatever it takes. Sometimes we have to say to ourselves, let me put that off for a month, and then it'll
mhm.
lose its importance. You know what? Right now was the hot commodity is not the hot commodity tomorrow. And it could be something as simple as I would say, a pair of shoes. It could be simple as, you know, a event.
Yeah, we did those numbers.
We can't continue to, have the same mindset going forward. We got to think better. We got to do better, especially when it comes down to, our finances, our finances.
I
We
think when
always going to have to go back to the numbers that we worked on the first one because, it's unbelievable to say in 10 years from not going to McDonald's for a week, the amount of money that we
yes,
accumulate.
yeah, the savings. The people, if people really understand how money works, if they really got an idea of how money really works, maybe they'll change their behavior. And I think, like, we had discussed teaching it early to the kids.
You are so right on with that, Phil. You are so right on with that, because sitting down talking to my great nephews yesterday, and we were talking about investments and how money works. You know, um, there's so much language, ROIs, IRAs, so much language that we can communicate. But you and I talked about this even, after we wrapped last week, and we were saying that the younger generation, that's the ones that's in their 30s, have a better understanding of financial planning, right? And money management.
Yeah.
That somehow in our communities, we were busy working, we were busy, taking care of certain things. We didn't have time to listen, or we didn't have time to invest in having those conversations because we were trying to make things, keep a roof over our head, keep food in our kids' bellies and clothes on our backs, and trying to, really live, survive. And being
Mhm.
in survival mode, we missed some steps along the way. But
Correct.
fortunately, our children were able to get those, opportunities to have those
Mhm.
type of instructions and to learn somewhat about money management. The downfall to that was they have this conversation and they're throwing around all of these terminologies, and some of us don't know what they're talking about. So they're losing respect to our generation, saying they can't even communicate with us. This is another thing that's blocking communication because we don't have an understanding. So what we proposed was to have the conversation so that our generation can have the conversation with their children and with their grandchildren, and the next generation. So,
And these
maybe
conversations are more important now. And because for me, everything I say the next 4 years, the next 4 years. That's the conversation for me. Is the next 4 years. What are you going to do for the next 4 years? What is your strategy? How things are going to look for you in the next 4 years? Because when you look at, based on, the decisions that, the majority of the voters made, is based on how their past 4 years was and how their next 4 years, they expect their next 4 years to be. So my hope is that they're not disappointed based on what, is promised that they're going to have in these 4 years. And as far as my guidance to everybody is, hold your money. Because if it's going to be so sweet, then you better hold on to it and don't spend and go crazy. Like, it comes in one hand and you go to the next hand. If it's going to be so sweet, then you better hold on to every dime of it. So at the end of that 4 years, you have something, because in the previous 4 years, everyone learned how to hold on to what they got. They could have complained about things. Everything was expensive, but you could not have learned the things that you've learned, how to manage your money in the last 4 years. So I pray that they take the discipline of managing what they have during the critical times, which was not a man-made event, that now they're coming into these 4 years where things are supposed to be sweet, that they learn to make their money, hold their money, and let it work for them. And because those that, the 5%ers that are actually uh, voted for this administration, they stand to gain a lot. It benefits them. I don't know how it's going to benefit and how much, at what degree it's going to benefit the working poor. And we're using the term the working poor because there's more working poor than those that are in the 5% range who are actually
it's five
what is
percent. I mean,
following day, the following day after the election, uh, the wealthy made $68 billion in a matter of hours. So it just goes to show that this new administration at benefits the wealthy, because how could the wealthy percentage of America, which is 3%, could make $68 billion in a matter of hours? What did the working poor make? Because it is the working poor who expected whose expectation is that this new administration is going to help them. I would have loved to have some kind of data to show how much the working poor made in comparison to the wealthy 3 to 1% or the 5 to 1%. I like to see the numbers. I'm all about the numbers. I'm not about the hype. And people should be about the numbers. Like I tell people, buyers, it's all about when we're doing real estate, it's all about the numbers. When we're doing investing, it's all about the numbers. It has
It's all
nothing.
about the numbers. I mean, even with the Adams administration, every time he came on a platform, he spoke about numbers. He informed people that where we stood as a city, where we stood as a state, it was, and it is. And, one thing that struck out to me under the Adams administration was it was very clear. He said, or this was implemented, and you can vouch for this. Um, People in Kings County, that's Brooklyn, we have the fourth highest rate of food insecurity, right? Within America, we're at number 4. Fourth highest rate. People in Brooklyn, Kings County has the fourth highest rate. Now listen to this number. The fourth highest rate of food insecurity, yet Brooklyn, the same Brooklyn with the fourth highest rate of food insecurity, has apartment rentals for $7,000.
Mm-hmm. That's a disparity. Yeah, huge disparity.
It's not making sense. That numbers is not making sense. So if we're talking in the black, as you say, the low income communities, the working poor, still saying things like, there's no money, doko boko boko. No, there's money. And statistics show,
Mm-hmm.
we have to get out of the mindset of there's none. There is.
No, but it's not the problem. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that people need to realize, and it's been a joke. It's a real estate joke, which is a reality that the billionaires in Manhattan pushed all of the millionaires into Brooklyn. So the reason when you hear rent is for $7,000, that is for those people that have been transplanted from Manhattan into Brooklyn. But remember, there's still, when you're talking about what the working poor has been making and traditionally makes, because the working poor cannot afford to live in Manhattan. So they're living in survival mode in Brooklyn. Because unless you've lived in Brooklyn and had real estate in Brooklyn for a while, it is challenging. It's $1 million to buy a 2-family home in Brooklyn. So which means then that to purchase $1 million home, the family, right, that husband and wife or mother, daughter, or whichever combination of it, they have to have quite to earn collectively about $150,000 and up to be able to purchase real estate, that quality real estate, unless you're going to buy a condominium. So yes, so definitely when you talk, so we can use the term the working poor because as I was telling you earlier on, the article just came out that New York is in panic mode because they don't know what the new administration is going to do when it to cut all of the funding for all of the housing programs that goes on here in New York City. So those that again, the working poor, or even those that can't work, that are living and get government programs, they're going to be in a situation as well if the administration plans to start cutting away and, trimming on all of these expenses, it's going to put people in a crisis. It's going to put New York in a crisis because we already have a housing shortage, and where are we going to do? Where are we going to put these people? How are we going to make things work? So there's a lot of things that people were expecting to happen, and I hope that it does happen, that the administration really does not hold a vendetta against New York, because we know how that goes. The man already done says he's gonna, you know
Ooh.
what? So they so people are not really thinking. They are not really thinking. They are not really thinking when it comes to what's going on. The big picture. It's gonna be interesting. So that's why I said, for me, I want to see what happens in 6 months.
Right,
What
you said
planning on doing right
you
now? There's
said
some.
100 days down the pipeline. But you also said people need to think about their 4-year plan, their 4-year
Yeah,
goals. But I don't
yes.
think that you could even start to envision what that means until we have lived through these 100 days after the inauguration, because
Mhm. Yeah.
it's going to be interesting, like
It's
you said.
interesting.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that at this time there is no preparation. The only preparation that makes sense is save your money,
Mhm.
sit
Yeah.
on it, save your money, save
Yeah.
every last penny. However you can do it, do it. This is not a time to be splurging on anything.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Because they still haven't tabulated the votes for the House. So if if they win the House, that's it. They can do anything they want to do, and there's no pushback. There'll be no pushback. Anything that they want to do, they're just going to go ahead and do it. Might as well not have another party.
might as well not have another party. And this is what I was speaking about. This is the United States. This is a democracy.
Hmm.
Things definitely don't look that way right now.
No, not at all. Not at all. And
So
people are not right. I'm sorry to say. There is a high percentage, including those that voted Democratic and those that voted Republicans. They are not right.
I would say um, not informed.
I cannot understand, right?
You don't have to understand. These
But
people,
I'm not going
you know what
to.
happens? I'm going to tell you what happens. It's time to vote. I'm busy, I'm working, I got 2 jobs, the man carrying on, my kids, this, that, and the other. It's time to vote. I don't have time to pay attention. You know, Realistically, I can't tell you how many people have sat down and watched the few debates that they had. This is why we say,
This This is a computer that everybody has in the palm of their hand. You
but
cannot say you're not informed. The fact is that you have not made it a priority,
you
but
haven't made it a priority.
it doesn't take you
Haven't
five
made it a
minutes
priority. With
to get
these
all the way.
conversations, Phil, we're gonna change that. This is a priority. We're gonna change that because, you and I said, we go back and forth about how much time we spend talking and having these conversations. But I told you, if people could get on the phone and flip through, other social platforms for hours,
TikTok.
they can sit down and listen to us rationing trying to make sense of really what's going on and try to keep people informed. They can lock in, like you said, get your coffee, get your
Mhm.
get your tea, get what you have,
In my sorrow.
it doesn't matter what you have, get a pen and a paper
Mm.
and know that we are about to come on and jump on and have these conversations with us. This is an open platform.
Yeah.
It's not to say that it's a closed Zoom. This is an open platform. So anybody can come in at any time, whether they agree or disagree with what we are saying, and have the conversation. You understand? Or ask the questions, or we have to maximize our time right now. We can't continue to be distracted in things that's not going to be advantageous to us as collaboratively as a people. And this is how it works. You know, this is how the number game is played.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just in amazement that that we're where we are as a country today. Um, that the numbers were so like vast when you see the map, and you kind of wonder like, okay, you all have there's a whole lot of facts that are out there on both sides. There's a lot of facts that are out there on both sides. And how could you just make a decision just based on just one thing? I could understand the border issue is a bad issue. I could understand that.
Okay.
But yet there are still many other issues that are there that one needs to be taken into consideration. So we are looking now, looking down the pike, down the road at morality. Are we a nation that are just concerned
Removing
about survival?
humanity? Is that what
And
you're asking? Have we removed ourselves from humanity and just looking at it? I mean, these are
yeah,
human lives that we're talking about, Phil, that are going to be affected. These are human lives that are going to be devastated. And we're talking about the mass throughout
I,
America.
but I had my pastor said, you cannot be just concerned about the baby in the womb and not be concerned about the man outside of the womb. It's all lives matter, and when you people, there is just a way that I just, I just kind of disappointed. And I don't know, I just kind of disappointed in the way how people draw their conclusions on some of the issues that were challenging us, that we had to make a decision on. Yes.
Again, nobody has the time anymore, Phil. Nobody has the time anymore. Everybody's looking for quick gratification, and it's not coming from a place of information.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? People feel comforted by sharing stories of trauma and sharing stories of things of that nature. But
There.
when it comes to really taking time to get the proper information and go on certain streams where you can get, relevant information that you can start to think about what we're discussing, even futuristic planning, it's kind of hard.
Critical.
You said something that was that I didn't want to interject at the time. You said something about the numbers. you know, in it being astronomical the way that things turned out. I remember Trump saying in the last race, the number's not right. The number's not right. Because he expected to see what he saw this time around. You understand what I'm saying? Like recount that, recount that. I'm not even, you know, and this is how he went on.
Right.
Because
And
he understood.
he's not in disagreement this time.
Because he understood. Because he understood. Because he understood. That's why he circled back around. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes things don't always work out for you the way that you expect the first time around, but you circle back around because you know what you know. And he knew what he knew. And that's
But
why we got,
he
and we knew what we knew. And we knew.
listen.
And, you know, some of us still didn't come out.
I I worked the polls this year.
Yeah, you told me in honor of your friend, right?
My friend, and to see firsthand how the system is set up. Because he had already started with disinformation, and already when he went into panic mode that he was not, he already started planting seeds of disinformation, of all of that kind of stuff. But you didn't hear any more of it on the night of. There was no complaint because the numbers was in his favor. But had the numbers not been on his favor, he would have continued with that whole set of disinformation about this
Because he understood
kind of
how people, he understood what
manipulation.
America was looking for. He understood, he knew it's a numbers game. You came out here and said the same thing. If America is focused on the numbers, it's a numbers game. There's no way you're going to vote another direction when this is a numbers game. This is, and he said it, this is how we're going to play this thing. You
Mm.
understand what I'm saying? This
Mhm.
is, and he said it, and he said it, and he said it, and he said it. He said, this is how we're going to play this thing. And all the people that backed him said that this is how they're going to play this thing. So it was up to anybody that was listening to when he said, this is how we're going to play this thing, if they jumped in on it, right? If they, whatever. Because as soon, hours after he got into office, people had the biggest grins.
Mhm.
Those that invested, they still
They
grinning to
don't
this day.
understand
They,
that.
you know, the George Jefferson song was ringing in a couple people's. We're moving on up. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of people on the low.
A lot of people don't understand that we are heading in the path of dictatorship. We are heading there.
You
The
know,
system,
and that's one of the reasons why, um,
and I
and
hope they
in
by
all
themselves.
honesty, that was one of the reasons why I, even with my choice as an American, right? My choice had to be we the people for the people.
Mhm.
This is the democracy. So which candidate spoke more on human rights? Which candidate spoke more on my granddaughter's future?
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
So I had to make the decision that was right
Mhm.
for
Globally,
people.
mine was globally. I thought of many different issues. I thought about global warming. You know, I thought
If I went globally, you know, this is where you piggyback on certain things. You understand what I'm saying? You piggyback on certain things. So I didn't want to go too far. I wanted to stay focused on representation, you know, because as you and I did speak, here it is, a member from our community. if nothing else, we have to support, people support candidates that they don't agree on 100% all the time. But what should have mattered the most? We have to get tired of being the last on the totem pole.
Yeah.
There's no other way. We're so bottom that we're getting to be overlooked.
They're accustomed to being at the bottom. That's one of the things. It's just like
And I
some people
said
are
it
like
so
that.
many times. How is it that our people get comfortable in poverty?
A mindset.
And you see other people come here and
Hmm. Yeah.
everybody had the same goal, everybody had the same plan, but you got comfortable in poverty. How?
Yeah, because I mean, if you really just look at what's going on, at all of the developments that are going on in Brooklyn. You look at the developments that are going on in the Bronx. You look at the developments that are going on in Queens, and they're right next. And these developments are going on in impoverished neighborhoods, and the people
So
that are living.
that's not a motivation for you to do better? That
It
if
should.
right here,
It should
right
be.
here in your own backyard,
Yeah, it should be.
right here in your own
Yeah.
backyard, the rent is now $5, $6, $7,000. Right in your own backyard, right in East New York, right in Canarsie, right in Bed-Stuy,
Mm-hmm.
right in our backyard.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Then
Develop.
right there, it should be telling you, yo, we got to do better.
Yeah, developments are going up right there. There's a low income
And
development
I
across
don't
the street.
necessarily agree the
Side of the street.
billionaires are filtering the millionaires into Brooklyn. I may not agree with that because I'm meeting people from Kansas. I'm meeting people from Wisconsin. I'm meeting people from Illinois. I'm meeting people from other parts of America right here in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
You,
so
you,
the
you understand
opportunities
what
are
I'm
here.
saying? So I don't necessarily meet somebody. I came back from Manhattan. No,
Hmm.
no. You understand what I'm saying? I'm seeing a whole new influx of people
Yeah, that are here, that are
in our
coming.
backyards.
Hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So I don't think that it's a matter of us complaining or us saying certain things. I'm like, look,
You
if
don't have
that's
any.
what's going on, we need
Yeah.
to level up. How? By listening to Heidi and Phil talk about what we're gonna do and how we can get it together, and and having these conversations, at least starting to have the conversation so that after they log off, they can look up some stuff.
Yeah, take a look. Take a look. Go in the mirror. How about just going in the mirror and just ask yourself some questions?
How about just go in the mirror and ask yourself some questions?
Huh? No, it's, but like you said, some people are not informed, but it's just a matter of, I don't think it's a priority to them because, and I tell a lot of
Because we
people,
don't know it's just like we saying, we don't know. We don't know. When you don't know, you can't make something that you don't know a priority. You don't know. Right now, we don't know what's going on. And you and I said, look, the best thing to do when you don't know is to save. You can't spend when you don't know. You know what you're hearing. You hear what's coming down the pipeline. You're getting a warning. There's going to be cuts. There's going to be cuts. There's going to be cuts in across the. There's going to be cuts in school. There's going to be cuts in how. There's going to be cuts. It seems like it's just the guillotine. Remember the Chinese movies, and they had the guillotine, and everybody just. This is what's coming down the line. We know it's coming. So the only thing you could do is just stay informed.
yeah, try and pick up go into your computer in the palm of your hand and just
Stay
read just a little,
informed.
Just stay informed. It's right there. We don't have to go to the library. We don't have to go to the computer. If an
But
idea
even if it
pops into
means
your
for us
head,
to start using the resources that we have, even if it means to start going to the library and start asking some questions, even if it means we start going to our local leaders and asking, hey, what does this mean for me and my family? Maybe that's what we need to start doing. Maybe we, okay, it's a good thing that we got a computer, but we also got other resources. We got a newspaper, Phil.
why do people have to go to the elected officials' offices?
One of the reasons why we go to the elected officials' office is because they owe us that.
And how
You
about
understand
they
what I'm
how
saying?
about
They're
the more
elected officials. They've been elected to lead us and help us to navigate through certain administrations. So if not you, who am I going to ask? I'm going to ask my neighbor who looking
I,
up.
I think that
No, I want to know from you. What does this mean for? I want to know. I want to know from you directly. We voted you in, or even if we didn't, you're sitting there. So now we have to hold people accountable for the seat that they're in. They owe us an explanation. They really do owe what's going on. Y'all know, y'all here before us.
I think that and you know what I said initially before we were off camera, that our elected officials in the Brooklyn area, they're complacent. And I'm saying it now, that there is a goal to make all of New York red. So we just have a few pockets, because when you look at the map is all red with just some pockets of blue, and those are just cities and towns. So me telling me to go to an elected official's office, and they not understanding that their seat is going to be now in jeopardy, I ain't going to their office. They
I
better
hear
get
what
their
you're
ass
saying
out
because they're
and
not
go into
doing nothing to avoid this
and
from
start
happening.
figuring out. Because if let's hear this, let me finish. Remember,
I
the
hear
great
you.
Kamala Harris did what she did in 107 days in comparison to running against someone who campaigned for 2 years. Now, if these elected officials here in New York, let them sit back and wait for people to come into their office, because the other organization is coming to get their seats. So I ain't going in none of their offices. They need to get outside and get figuring out and start campaigning from now to let people, because as I was saying earlier, is now going to become chic to run as a Republican. And
Oh
it's
my
not going to be
gosh,
somebody that does
this
not
is the
look
new
like me,
niche. This is the new niche.
look
Oh
just
my
like me, and who
gosh.
know they're going to get the financial backing to run up against their seats. So let them sit their lazy asses there, because they didn't do anything much for Kamala Harris because they felt that she was going to be good. I didn't see much work being done for her. So they can sit back there and figure that their seats are safe. Nobody's seat is safe.
Not even yours and mine.
Hmm?
I said not even yours and mine. Right now, not even yours and mine. And that
Yeah,
this is the
yeah.
problem that we have. This is the
And the
problem.
fact is that, yeah, because you and I, we can sit down, we could stay here and speak the truth and just tell it like it is, because this is how we do it. You could agree or you can disagree, but this is what our platform, this is what we do here. We tell it like how we feel it, like how we see it, like how we analyze it. And they got to do better. They got to do better here. For those that are elected, got to do better. They got to do a better PR work. It's all, you got to work with your community. Let your community feel that you love them. You
But how
know,
can the community feel like they love them when we face the fourth highest rate of food insecurity, with hospital closings, with kids getting killed in the street, with everything that's going on in the public school system? How can we feel love when these things are on?
happening
You
on a
know,
daily basis.
you the numbers man, right? You the numbers man,
You're right.
right? And I can
The
see it.
numbers
And
are
I'm
the
not the numbers person, and I can see it with
numbers.
my eyeballs that our numbers are on the incline,
Hmm.
regardless of what you
Yep.
say.
Yep.
And across America, the
Hmm.
numbers of people that get killed each day from gun violence, it tallies astronomical numbers in America, like if our country is at war.
It's going to come down now. It's going to come down now because, as the man said,
What a man said.
the man says, he will remove the restraint from the police.
Papa, yoy. So you think that the numbers is gonna go down or they're gonna go up? The police is gonna really feel as though, yo,
The
you
police,
know, a couple months ago, we had there was a meeting that was held to hold the police accountable at a church on Church Avenue and 56th Street, and all these big New York City guys came out and heard the community talk about. And one of the incidences that was recanted was a young lady was in a nice car and she was pulled out of her car and kicked in her stomach and asked repeatedly how could she afford to drive in this car, and she's like, what, and because she sometimes it
it,
questions catch
here's
you
here's
off guard.
here's why I say here is why I say the numbers are going to go down. For the same reason that that mindset there, you see that mindset where they can do what they did, that what the cops can do, that mindset is going to come back.
That was
You
from
know
the
what?
70s and the 80s though, Phil.
It's going to go back to that. How else are they going to, how else remember?
But the cops used to extort everybody, Phil, back then. Come on, yo,
We
you know what you know.
do
I
that.
mean, we don't even have to talk about what the
Go through
reality
that.
of that was.
Right, but we understand that when this man is saying, when he's saying that he is, remember, he is against what is called the woke way of thinking, anything that had to do with the George Floyd and protests and all of that kind of stuff, and bringing out the National Guards and all of these different things. The man isn't joking when he's saying this.
No, I definitely get it. This is why we and you talking. I asked you, I said, yo, what, we're gonna do our homework on Project 2025. What the heck is going on? What's coming
But
down the
how else,
pipeline?
how else are you going to clean up the street because remember, it's
After
just
you cause all this chaos, the word that you're using is cleaning up the street. Don't you think that people are really gonna go awry? What kind? This is
no,
not
but,
humanity
but
anymore.
how are they
This is just uncivil. This is just
the,
uncivil.
the Pentagon and some of the top leaders, they are in discussions right now how they can lawfully disobey his commands to bring the military into the street.
That's going to be traumatizing, Phil. You
But it is
remember 9/11? Were you in this country 9/11? Do you remember 9/11?
9/11. I used to hang out there and have lunch every day.
Yo, did you see when the army, did you hear that was the first time I used to hear the war sirens. Did you hear like Hogan's Heroes? I was telling my brothers, I was like, yo, I never
Listen,
experienced anything like that.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say what I need to say about 9/11, but brilliant people understood that there is no way that that building could fall straight down.
we're
I
not even
used to
gonna
be
get
the
into all of
bill limit.
that. I'm just talking
I
about
understood that
how
the bill
I felt
that bill
as
limit was
an
supposed to leave.
American seeing
I
the
was going to take down
tanks,
the blocks.
them big ass tanks coming down Fulton Avenue, because you remember the mosque was on Fulton.
Mm. And anyway, we are in for some interesting times
We're in for
in
some
America.
interesting times. That's all
We're
we can
in for some
say. And
interesting
we
times in
just gonna
America.
keep
And I
talking.
know that when it comes to policing, that at it list, did you remember
Jesus.
or you didn't follow when the fire there was a graduation at Christian Cultural Center
Mhm.
and Letitia James was there and all of the firemen booed her inside of the sanctuary. And then the commissioner had to come and apologize. Okay, don't you? So when you look at that mindset, don't you believe that there are portions of people in the NYPD that have that similar mindset? And now that now we have this administration that
That's
doesn't
giving
care
them
about
free reign.
anything. That's what I'm saying. So these things that goes on in the streets, and remember, he has to prove that he can clean and make America great again. And how else are you going to clean it up and bring down these numbers?
But
You're
how
going to
can
have
you clean it? How can you? You see, this is why we
it's.
need to come together. We really have to understand what that means to us collectively as a community.
I
We're
don't know
skipping
because
over everything. I mean, oh my God.
a lot of those young black men that a lot of those young black men that actually said that they're for Trump. Some of them are going to be draped up on the walls themselves because they nobody knows when they're coming through to do their stuff if they voted for Trump or if they voted for Kamala. It doesn't make a difference. You're just black. You might be in the wrong place. You might be a successful businessman. And they will say, how could you afford to be driving this
But we
car?
see that this is going on across America regardless.
Right. So
So
that's
you
what
can
I'm saying. So
imagine.
then what? Then what? Then what? What?
Then what?
What? My question is to the brothers. Then what? That's the question to the brothers. Then what? When are you gonna start? When stuff start happening,
They're
and you're
going to
gonna complain?
march. They're going to march.
Marching doesn't do nothing.
They're going to march.
It's just gonna bring more problems
They're
on the
going
street.
to march.
To bring out the military, they're gonna
That's all
bring
they
fire
do is
hose,
march. How
gas.
much march? We marching. They go march.
I ain't marching no way. Nobody will ever get me to march. Period.
They go march. They go march. They go march. That's what this country been doing for decades. Marching.
Montgomery bus boycott. I'm gonna leave it right there.
Period. Period. Viewers, I'm going to leave you with that right
Your
there. That's
homework.
your homework. That's your homework. Phil
Montgomery
done gave y'all a homework
boycott,
assignment.
and you will understand
Montgomery.
what is success, what has been the most successful event in Black American history. Montgomery bus boycott. Do your homework.
Phil gave us homework. I'm going to leave us with that. Phil and I could go on and 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 on. Phil, this is what we do.
This
This
is
is what
what
we
we do.
do. We have these conversations, and either you agree with us or you don't. But at the end of the line, this is what we got. If you
Where
don't agree, if you do agree, jump into the Zoom. How many times have we posted, the Zoom link and everything? Please, just come on and share your thoughts. Together we could get through this thing, but we can't stay apart no longer because,
Mhm.
as Phil said, it doesn't matter if you come from Jamaica, China, Korea, if you're an African of some descendant and you sitting in a car, they only gonna see what they see.
Mhm.
And that's
Correct.
for Black men, for Black women. And that's all
Yeah.
we are. That's all we are. That's That's what we've come down to.
Yeah.
No matter
Well,
what
people,
contributions that we've made in America, or no matter
mhm,
what contributions that we've made in the world, we keep fighting the wrong battle. We're fighting against one another.
yep,
We're fighting
yep,
the wrong battle right now. We need to come together. We're great. This is why Phil is taking his time. He got his hands stirring so many different pots, but he's saying, you know, Heidi, we gotta talk. We gotta talk to them. We gotta let them know. You know me. I'm all for the people. I'm all for my people. I love y'all so much. We can't continue doing what we're doing. We can't. This is suicide, y'all. This is genocide. We doing it to ourselves.
yep, yep, the brothers and the that are out there gang banging, you guys,
And we talking about leaders. If you could lead a gang, then you could lead a bunch of us in a positive way, in a positive direction. You know, we don't have to kill one another, y'all. We need one another.
mm,
We need everybody.
yep,
We need everybody. We need everybody. All right, we got our homework from Phil. The Montgomery bus boycott.
yep,
Look it up. Look it up. We don't need to say no more. I've been saying it for the longest time. You know, and a lot of people agree that that's the way. So we gonna make a date. We gonna figure this out after we end this 100 days. I think that this is a conversation that our community will have to have.
yep.
But you gave us the starting point, and I thank you for it. I thank you for it, my brother. I thank you for the time. We're gonna wrap. And we see you trendsetters. We'll see you next week. Same place, same time, every Monday at 7 o'clock on Zoom. Jump on this live. All right, y'all stay blessed. Peace.
Peace.